What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today for the weekly sports card market update. Touching on news, a little bit of charts and graphs, a little bit of market talk, playing catch up on the week. That's what we do here every single Sunday. Today, not a ton of news. We're going to be charts and graphs heavy this week. Some weeks we're news heavy. Some weeks we're charts and graphs heavy. On the news side of things, one of the bigger stories was the tie PSA thing. We kind of talked about that. I ran some polls on the community tab. If you did not see those, if you're on mobile, you see them. If you're on desktop, I don't know that you see the community tab, or it's not presented to you extremely well. If you're on mobile, it is. But if you're on desktop, go to my YouTube channel page, click community tab, and then you see like where I post stuff. I post polls, links to stuff, all sorts of nonsense. But I ran two polls on what grading companies as a primary and secondary people are going to use. If you didn't vote in that, sneak over there and fire in some votes. I think I'm going to record a video specifically about talking about those polls. I was going to work it into the beginning of this, but I want to put a little bit more thought into it. We're going to fire that off sometime next week, maybe Tuesday. Kind of dig into like some state of the grading at the end of 22 as we head into 2023 here, as we kind of wrap up the year and head into the new year. So go ahead and go check that out. The other thing I want to mention off the top, I decided, and I've actually had it made for a couple weeks now. I haven't done a ton with it. I didn't make it super public. I tweeted about it. I do have or created a Discord. So if you are into Discord, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens in there. I'm in a lot of cool Discords. But I did go ahead and create one. If you want to check it out, if you're in the Discord, the link is in the description to this video. If I remember, I will pin it, an invite link to the top comment, so you'll see it. That should be up shortly after the video goes live. But if not, it is in the description of the video. It is free to join. You do not have to be a YouTube channel member or anything like that. It's just I made a couple different rooms. I'll kind of see what it evolves into. I'm just kind of flying by the seam of my pants on this one. But I wanted to kind of create something that just kind of chit chat as a community sometimes. And just as an easier way for people in the community, to get a hold of me, or if they want to discuss a video, you guys can kind of do it together in there. Obviously, still do it in the comments and stuff too, but just as another avenue to kind of stay connected to you boys and girls out there in the wonderful community. So once again, that is free. You don't have to be a channel member. You don't have to jump through any hoops or anything like that. If you want to join the Discord, go ahead and click the link in the description. If you don't, that's perfectly fine too. Nothing is going to change on the content side of things. The other thing that kind of happened this week, Fanatics raised a bunch of money. We're not 100% sure what that's for. Could be for gambling stuff, like in terms of expanding sports gambling operations. Could be to go after Panini. Who knows what's going on with all that? That news front has been very quiet as we've kind of wound down the year here. And I wonder, as the card market has cooled, if they're having second thoughts about wanting to throw a bunch of money at Panini and maybe go back to potentially just cherry picking some licenses. Like, hey, we would like to buy Prism from you, or we would like to buy National Treasures, or I think what might be, and I have no inside information on this at all, zero sourcing, this is just pure speculation on my part. I wonder if there's a negotiation to transfer the rights to Fanatics sooner rather than later. Panini, keep Prism, keep NT, keep Flawless. We'll launch our own brands, but we want full control we'll buy you out of the last couple years, however many are left, of your deal for NFL, MLB, and NBA, and bring it in-house under Fanatics. I don't know that can happen, but I wonder if they're going to lean more towards that way than actually just purchasing Panini outright. I don't know. Like I said, just kind of an interesting thought exercise to work your way through there. On the Fanatics side of things, they keep cranking out product. Topps baseball stuff is just coming out like crazy. I kind of touched on it last week. We had Bowman Chrome drop. We had Sapphire come out. We have Chrome Update coming out. We had Heritage High Number come out. I ripped that box yesterday. It was absolutely insane. One of the funnest rips I've had this entire year. What else? The Bowman First Edition Draft is going to be coming out any day. So it's just like a deluge of Topps products. I will say, I have been having a lot of fun ripping the Topps baseball products. Part of it is it's just much better product to rip than the Panini stuff by a mile. Having now ripped a bunch of basketball stuff and a little bit of football over the fall, and now ripping this baseball stuff, it is just a much more enjoyable product to rip. Part of that is carried by the fact that the 2022 rookie class is loaded. So there's tons of things that you could get out of a box just because there's a lot of players to chase. I am probably going to continue to rip a little bit of wax on the channel. I know that that's not something I've typically done in the past, but it's kind of flipped the script. It's readily available. It's affordable again. Even a Topps Heritage hobby box is only $80. I don't mind, once a month, once every few weeks, lighting $80 on fire to rip a hobby box. It's a little bit less for me because yes, I make the $20 from the YouTube video or whatever and get a piece of content out of it. But I think I am going to mix box breaks in. Listen, we're not going to be Pac-Man cards up in here, but I do plan on mixing in a little bit of box breaks here and there, at least for the time being. Part of it is just the product cycle that's out right now. There's a lot of cool baseball stuff hitting, and I've been enjoying ripping said baseball product, so I'm going to keep doing it. I already have a couple more videos for hangers already recorded. I also got some of the holiday megas, the Topps holiday megas, the Christmas themed ones. I am probably going to rip one of those at some point in time. Maybe we'll put that up like the week of Christmas. I don't know, but I have one of those to rip. We have some update Chrome coming that I would like to rip a box of that, both hobby and mega box I would like to open. And then there's still the mythical dented box of Topps Update Hobby that calls my name constantly. Part of it is, and I get it, like I'm feeling it. I ripped that mega with Heritage, hit those two J-Rods, those two short print J-Rods that look really cool. And I looked at that pile sitting behind me and was like, oh man, we're hot, boys. Let's just hit this thing. We could do it. And then I ran away. I ran outside. And I just ran away. I got in the car and I just drove away before bad decisions happened. So we'll see how this wax experiment goes. It might be short-lived if you guys just find me laying in a video amongst a bunch of empty packs and cellophane and cardboard. So baseball product continues to churn out left and right as we wrap down the year here. With that being said, let's go ahead and pop on over to market movers, talk a little charts and graphs on the market side of things. Basketball first. We're going to talk about basketball, football, and baseball. Hit a little bit of everything. A little bit of grading talk mixed in on the baseball side of things. But let's go ahead and kick off with basketball first. Zion and Ja, I always like to look at these two in a pair. We've looked at them recently. I wanted to bring them up again because I don't know if you guys and girls noticed this, but the last 10 days or so, Zion is looking real good. I mean, he's had a pretty good season overall, but he's been on fire the last, I think it's like 5 to 7 games. His numbers are insane. Go pull up his basketball reference page and just look at the numbers that he's been putting up over the last 10. That team looks really good, like really, really good. They're deep, star power deep, and like role player deep. David Griffin's done some great drafting. He's a spectacular vice president / GM / head honcho, whatever you want to call him. He did great work just creating nonsense out of nothing with the Cavs when he ran their operation during the LeBron championship years. And Zion prices are starting to tick up slightly. I ran these back to October 27th, a little over a month and a half. Part of the reason why I did that is there was two. I tried to find a start date where both sold on the same day. You could see both are down about 24%, and this is Silver Prism PSA 10s. They really dipped hard here right around Thanksgiving. The week of Thanksgiving, everything kind of tails off, and then it flattened out, and you could see Zion specifically has really started to tick up. This got down to, in a PSA 10, around $900, and the last sale is at $1,100. So not a huge, move, but a $200 price jump in this market is at least notable. That's the numbers that we're working with these days. Ja, one has not sold for a few days, but his was ticking up a little bit too. I don't know if that one will hold, but these two are basically intertwined with each other. And I remember when the gap used to be huge on these, and I always said it does not make sense that it is that huge. But Zion's looking great. no one has ever questioned Zion's talent on the basketball court. It's can he stay healthy? That's what scares the hell out of everybody. So far, so good this year. He looks fantastic. We will see what happens as the season moves on. Dipping into the 2018 class, little Trey and Luca action. I had a long conversation. Had the local show this week on 34th Street. Good show, pretty busy, a little slow in the morning, and then I actually picked up in the afternoon. I was there for quite a while. I was just talking to a lot of people, catching up with a lot of different people, and talked about Luca a little bit and kind of the path of Luca to his prices. Like, what's the path for his stuff drastically going up this year? And it's really not great when you look at the team and their projections. And maybe that's worth its own video. I have a lot of thoughts on the whole Luca situation. Trey, this chart goes back to September 1st. I wanted to kind of capture the run up to the season and the actual NBA season so far. As you could see, Luca's Silver Prism has basically held flat. 2K to start the season, currently at 2K, down 0.8%. That's whatever. Trey, on the other hand, is beat up a little bit, down 25%. You can get his Silver Prism now for $375. And Trey across the board is way down. He's playing okay. There's some weird drama stuff going on with that team right now. A lot of stuff in the news. If you listen to like the NBA podcasts, feuding with his coach. He's not shooting super great this year. Don't know. Don't know how I'm feeling about Trey. I have 2 Trey Young cards left, the Red Mosaic, and I still have my Optic PSA 10. I actually have my Optic PSA 10 Hollow listed for sale on eBay to potentially move that. I'm going to do a video on this later in the week, assuming nothing crazy happens. Kind of about like my end of the year plans. I'm really trimming the fat on the collection as the year winds down here. But Trey market is in a dumpster right now. If you are a Trey believer, maybe this is a good time to buy. I don't know. He could still continue to go down. That seems kind of a mess. I don't even want to kind of insinuate that. Like I said, full disclosure, I actively have a Trey Young card for sale. But I don't really know. Their team's just kind of messy. I can see the potential for them to go on a run. But I could also see the potential for them to continue to have a bunch of drama and his stuff continuing to go down. So buyer beware on Trey. Next up, Tatum. Full disclosure as well, I own one of these Tatum greens. So anything that I say about it, I own one. Once again, we're going back to the summer on this one, right after the NBA Finals last year. This was kind of shortly after his prices had settled at the end of June, heading into July as NBA free agency was about to kick off. What I was intrigued by here is the price movements on his 2 key cards. You know, obviously he has RPAs and all that, but kind of his everyman cards, the more affordable stuff compared to the super high end. His Silver Prism PSA 10, and I am, you know, Tatum to me is probably in the top 3 of the MVP conversation. That team's insane, and Tatum's playing great. His PSA 10 Silver is up almost 20%. It's a $1,000 card right now. Kind of funny that this is half the price of Luca. It's lower pop, and Tatum has a legit chance to win an NBA championship this year. Luca doesn't. It's kind of a weird situation when you think about it. And then the green, which, you know, anyone that's watched the channel for a while knows I am a huge sucker for color match, and this is a gorgeous card. I am looking at one right now as I'm talking to you. This card is up 70%. So it's just interesting to see the dichotomy between these 2 cards from the same start point. How much more the green has gone up to the silver. Now it is lower pop. The PSA 10 pop on the green is 167. On the silver is 780. Will it continue to climb? It's all going to be depending on how he plays, but they look fantastic. We'll have to see what happens as we move into the beginning of the new year. Next up, Giannis. This was just an interesting one. His PSA 10. This is his PSA 10, PSA 9, and BGS 9.5. I like to do the full disclosures. I do own a BGS 9.5 of this card. He had been trending down for a while. You could see pretty much across the board, 20% down, 10% down, 15% down. But same thing. Everything kind of really dove right around the week of Thanksgiving. We could see here, almost all these kind of dipped around Thanksgiving. And then since Thanksgiving, it's slowly been ticking back up again. Now, Giannis also playing out of his mind, one of the MVP frontrunners, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They have Chris Middleton back now. We'll see if they maybe go on a little bit of a run To me, in the East, it's them and the Celtics in a tier completely by themselves. Then it's the Cavs. To me, I put the Cavs in their own tier, Cavs homer. And then it's a bunch of other teams, kind of all clumped together. Maybe one of those teams moves into the Cavs tier. But to me, the Bucks and the Celtics are in a tier all their own. But it is intriguing to see Giannis' stuff slowly start to tick up again, but overall down since the beginning of the season, or the run up to the beginning of the season. With that, let's switch over to a little bit of football. My boy buried the lead on this one. Baker, the touchdown maker, 98 yards, had been on the team for about 37 seconds. Made that thing look like a game of Madden, went right down the field. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty excited for him. I own no Baker card. I shouldn't say no. I own no significant Baker cards. My goal going into the National was to get rid of every Baker card that I had, and I did that outside of one, an Opticalo PSA 10, which I was going to hold into the season just to see what happened. We obviously saw what happened. I moved off that pretty quickly, took a huge loss on it, is what it is. The only Baker cards that I have left are like some second year random, like color match prisms and stuff that I picked up for like $3 back when that product first came out. But it is nice to see Baker perform well. This is just his overall chart. I just kind of wanted to show it. His stuff did go up. You can see his green percentages are just all over the freaking place. This is raw and graded. This is just the entire Baker market. But his stuff definitely spiked up this week. He did not get back to the old prices. I truly hope he succeeds with the Rams. I would love to see it. I always liked the guy. I thought he was pretty good. A little arrogant, a little cocky, but I kind of enjoyed that. Little chip on his shoulder always. I think the Browns did him dirty on some stuff, playing him through that season with the busted up shoulder. We'll see what happens. I'm intrigued to watch him play with the Rams. I hope he continues to play well. He might be their starting quarterback next year because Stafford looks like he is washed. Moving along on the ugly, Zach Wilson stuff just continues to tank. If you're a Zach Wilson believer, might not be a bad time to sneak in. This is PSA 10 Silver Prism. Only popped 93 on this. This is now down to $80 in a PSA 10. This is down 80% from the beginning of the season. This chart goes back to October 20th was that $400 sale, and then it has just been a roller coaster ride down since then. Initially, I wasn't going to talk about this, so when I saw one sold for $80, I was just like, holy smokes. So Zach Wilson stuff is way down. But now, I mean, take Zach Wilson out of the equation. Buying distressed quarterbacks at this point in the season to potentially flip in the summer traditionally has been a very good way to make profit. We've seen it time and time again. These random quarterbacks. I don't think Zach Wilson's in danger of switching teams or anything like that, but get named the starter, switch a team, and their stuff goes crazy for a couple days. There was like a day where like Jacob Eason was a thing. It's wild the way people chase quarterbacks. Looking at distressed assets in the quarterback market, it's pretty low risk. Once they've tanked like this, you know, they have a certain floor baked into them, and then it doesn't really take much for them to bounce up and then just cut ties before they even play a snap of football. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there with Zach Wilson. And we're kind of in that deep into the NFL season where there's a lot of players people are not paying attention to that you could potentially go mine for gold with a potential flip in the summer. Next up, Patrick Mahomes. This is just a check-in. I haven't looked at this stuff for a while. Basically flat, up 2.5%. This is going back since August 1st, so right after the National up until now. He did dip down a little bit in season. They had some struggles in the first third of the season. This got down to around 3K, but it has rallied back as they continue to play really well. They did just lose to the Bengals. But generally speaking, Mahomes looks pretty good this year. He is probably in a battle for MVP with Hurts. It's those two. I'm not sure who's on top of that right now, but I definitely think it's those two. It's kind of the clear cut for the MVP. The Chiefs team still worries me overall for a deep playoff run. We'll see what happens, but Mahomes prices as of right now continue to stay flat. Always be aware that this card, though, is super shilled. I do have that stuff filtered out for this, but just anything with Mahomes, always do extra due diligence and dig a little bit deeper and check comps whenever you're looking at Mahomes cards. Joe Burrow, another one. Dating back to August, this is a Silver Prism PSA 10. This card is down a ton. It is down 45%, but it is starting to see a little bit of life, just a little bit after this past week. Now that he has Chase back, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have a Magic 8 Ball, but could we potentially see a similar Burrow run to what we saw last year? His prices kind of dipped and jumped around throughout the season, kind of went down, and then at the back half of the season, he rallied hard, obviously all the way to a Super Bowl, and his stuff really spiked. Maybe we could see that again now that Chase is back. I don't know. See what happens this week. But Burrow stuff, just generally speaking, since the season started, has really taken a beating. Once again, these guys come in with these super high expectations. It's nearly impossible for them to meet them, even if they play pretty well. Burrow's not having like a terrible season, but there were such expectations put on him, they can't meet him, and the prices crash. Baseball. Mostly going to be J-Rod centric on this one. The first one that I wanted to talk about is, and we'll probably wrap up on this one. I don't want to go super crazy on the baseball stuff. There's a lot happening right now with free agency and guys staying, leaving, all that stuff. J-Rod base tops update card. These things are about a $5 or $10 raw card, if that. We are starting to see, and this I'm gonna use this as a very good litmus test, because there's a ton of this product being ripped, and it is getting sent to all the various grading companies. It's a low end base card, so there's a lot of incentive to grade this thing, even at at a $10 or $15 grading fee, and potentially flip it, keep it, whatever you want to do with it. I think this will be an interesting test for low end and how the grading companies are shaking out. I think we kind of all know how this is going to play out, but it's just something I kind of want to keep my eye on. So as of right now, and once again, small sample size theater here, PSA is only a pop 9. That is not going to last. But the last one did 132. I expect that to come down as more and more supply hits the market. That's PSA 10. SGC 10, now, last sale on this was about 2 weeks ago, went for $70. Right in line with kind of where this has always been. Now, once again, small sample size theater here. Usually when I do comp comparisons, I look at a bunch of different cards. PSA 9 going for $40. That's actually not that bad. I don't know that that holds either. It probably doesn't. That price will come down. But depending on what you pulled at, if you bought it $5 at a show and sent it in at 15 to get graded and sold it for 40, that's not the worst thing in the world. Now, don't run out and do that. Prices on this stuff will adjust down. But even on a 9, if you're breaking even, that's not the worst thing in the world. SGC 9.5 on basically the same day also did $40, and an SGC 9 a little bit dated towards the end of November did $35. There was no CSG 10 sales that I could find. I did look. The cheapest available to purchase is 105, and there are multiple sitting at 105 or best offer. So not sure. I don't have a good CSG comp on this card. I was hoping there would be one out there, as a lot of these are getting graded right now, but we'll see how this kind of shakes out over time. This will be kind of one of those things I keep an eye on. Honestly, if I was those CSG people with the 10s, I don't want to tell people how to sell their cards, but I would lower the price and move off those before a ton more hit the market, to be honest. But that's just me. What do I know? I'm just an idiot with a microphone. So that is all I have for you guys and girls this week. We will catch you tomorrow. I think I'm going to try to dive in and do a non-sports card update. I haven't done one, a particular like wrap-up style video for non-sports cards in about a month now. I've talked about comics and cards and stuff on various episodes on Mondays the last few weeks, but I haven't done like a traditional market style video. So I might dive in and do that and just see how much time I have to research. I have a CGC reveal video next week. I have a kind of a state of grading video I'd like to do next week at some point in time. Probably a box opening of something at some point in time, not sure what. And then we'll see what else happens in the wonderful world of sports cards. That is all I have for you guys and girls. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.